Join me today as I dive into the 2025 Wolfman, a remake of the original. Let's see if I can figure out for you if it's a total flop or if it actually might surprise you. Welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where a father and son talk about fantasy, science fiction, horror, and other nerdy things we enjoy. Just Jim, the father of the show, here today talking to you about a movie I recently saw. If you enjoy this, don't forget to give us a like. And we invite you to subscribe to the channel. Check out all the content we have here just for your enjoyment. Thanks. So, yes, I am talking to you about Wolfman, which released just earlier this year, January 17th, 2025. The genre is horror. Universal Pictures is the grandfather of horror movies. I own all the classic monster movies of the golden days of horror on VHS. Okay, and then I repurchased them on Blu-ray. I'm talking about Dracula, Frankenstein, The Wolfman, The Mummy, and on and on. The first movie in this collection came out in 1913, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and they continued well into the 1950s. Universal Pictures just kept rolling out fun, scary, sometimes campy horror films that are now absolute classics. They even got Abbott and Costello involved. Do you know what I'm talking about? Fun stuff while still being the horror classic characters. Now, they've attempted some reboots over the years, even trying recently to create a dark universe, a series of horror films that would be interconnected, similar to the MCU. They'd all be in the same universe and there'd be overlap between films. Unfortunately, the first two films that they introduced that were supposedly dark universe films didn't do so well. Dracula Untold, and then that Tom Cruise vehicle, The Mummy. So Universal took a right turn and said, okay, never mind. We're just going to do standalone films, still taking these great intellectual properties we've used decades ago and reinventing them. With that shift, they came out with The Invisible Man in 2020. And that's a excellent kick butt movie that I am embarrassed to say I haven't reviewed yet. I've talked about it here on the channel before, but I have not done an episode yet. I kind of thought I had. So that will be coming soon. But it was fantastic. It was a huge hit in the box office, a wonderful reinvention just based on the concept of the Invisible Man. So when I saw they were now doing Wolfman, again, a reinvention based upon the original concept, I was like, sign me up. I want to see this film. Alas, my ship of hope has wrecked against the shoals of despair. Let's get into why. Spoiler-Lite summary of this movie. It begins with words. That's often not a good sign. You read the words on the screen. I'm not talking about Star Wars with the big display. No. Just words, stuff you need to know so the movie will now make sense. This dumps us onto the knowledge that sometimes in the woods of Oregon, people will occasionally go missing, and there's a theory that a virus might be involved that does things to the people. Okay, we're off to a great start. Now we get into the movie then with a scene of young Blake. A kid, 10, 11, 12 years old. It's not clearly identified, and I'm old enough that I can't tell so well anymore. But he's going hunting with his dad, who is a piece of work. Dad's got some issues. You get that pretty quickly. They seem to live off the grid, way out in the Oregon wilderness. We don't get a lot of details, but a few things I kind of think I picked up was that mom is dead. She didn't die well. It was some sort of sudden thing, like you've got someone and then they're gone. Dad was traumatized by that and still hasn't gotten over it. And Blake is the one paying the price. Dad is very screwed up. He's now overprotective, intense, trying to make sure his son is raised right, knows everything he needs to be safe and protect himself. And it's just not always working so well. Blake does not seem to have a happy childhood. That said, he can go around the Oregon woods with his own rifle because dad's taught him how to go hunting. In this early scene, we see Blake and his father out there in the woods deer hunting. Unfortunately, something happens out there. They have a run in with something dangerous, something unusual, something the dad seems to have an idea of what it is and tries to protect Blake from knowing what's going on. They hide out in a deer blind while this thing is clearly trying to get at them, attack them, and then runs off. As the scene draws to a close, it's later that evening. Blake overhears his dad talking over ham radio, CB radio, I don't know, down in the basement, talking on his set to some other father, a neighbor in the area. They both apparently have sons, and he's trying to convince them we need to go hunt this creature for the safety of our kids. Okay, jump ahead 30 years. We have a grown Blake with a wife and daughter living in the big city, learning that Blake's father has been finally declared deceased after having been missing for many years. We don't know how many years. This leads them to decide to get a truck and return to the Oregon homestead, perhaps a chance to reconnect as a family while seeing where Blake grew up, but also to gather up dad's things. And they haven't even made it to the house before they have a devastating encounter with the Wolfman. And the movie is nonstop danger and tension from there all the way to the end, because Wolfie is out for blood and they are not prepared. Okay, now that sounds like it could potentially be a pretty good movie. Yeah, let me get into my takeaways. I've got 9 of them today. First, there's really weak writing in this movie. I mean, I don't often notice these things, but it's blatantly obvious this is poorly written. The whole setup with Blake and his dad feels fake and forced. It's supposed to help us understand why adult Blake was estranged from his father and chose to get away from home as soon as he was able. But because of that, the rationale to now return home with his family just makes no sense. Why should he care? It's not his problem. Why would he want to take care of that? Why would he want to take his family to this place? He was miserable. It's just silly. Second, they throw in that Blake and his wife are having a bit of a rough patch in their marriage. Whatever. We're given no real reason to care. In fact, Charlotte, his wife, is not very likable. Blake and his daughter Ginger are great, but Charlotte is a caricature of the working mom who's prioritizing her career over her family. It's a little overdone and was a bit boring. Third, there are various plot nuances thrown in, like Blake being a stay-at-home dad because he's an out-of-work writer, that don't add anything to the movie. And again, we don't really care. It's all tied to a poorly written script. 4, this is a monster movie, in part, and we do get to see the monster, but the effects for the monster are confusing. At times, it seems to just be a overly hairy man who's perhaps odd and a bit violent. Other times, we're seeing physical changes happening to the body, but there doesn't seem to be much purpose to those changes. I mean, he's changing into a wolf, but he still looks like a man? What? I know. The original Universal Classic didn't really change him much either. It still felt better than what I saw here. Dropped ball. Fifth point, they tried to play up the drama between the father, who, spoiler, gets infected with this virus thing, and his wife and daughter as dad starts to transform. And they played it up far too long. Yes, we get it. They love each other. He doesn't want to hurt them. He's losing control. Yawn. Sixth point, the actual physical makeup and effects, underwhelming. We've all seen better. I think they were going for something more realistic. Yeah, we didn't really want that. Seventh takeaway, the performances turned in by Christopher Abbott as Blake and Julia Garner, his wife Charlotte, are I mean, they're okay, but they're nothing to write home about. No one's passing out any Academy Awards. But I'm not sure they were given much script material to work with here. So The daughter, Ginger, played by Matilda Firth, was actually the best acting of the lot. She, I thought, actually did a pretty decent job. Point 8. The two main events that occur near the end are completely predictable. Again, poor writing, telegraphing too much. It just leaves this movie actually rather boring. And my final point, again, after seeing the awesome Invisible Man, how well they did that in 2020, I was hoping for something similar here in quality, in vibe, in the re-envisioning. Not at all. This completely lacks any similar magic to that 2020 film. My rating is just a 2 out of 5. If I read a book this poor, I don't even do a review on it. But, visual entertainment media, okay, I'll go there. I watched the whole movie. I didn't refuse to finish it. It wasn't a complete waste of my time. But I've seen so much better. I've seen worse, but way, way, way more better. This movie ends up being a shallow setup for the dangerous situation they want us to experience with this family, and everything that occurs is just so darn predictable. You never really feel there's any genuine danger once we get past the initial accident scene. That was cool, but it was all downhill from there. Yes, Dad's going through this horrible, horrific transformation, but you even know where that's gonna end up. The movie was not all bad. It just was not that good. But if you want to watch it out of curiosity, or you're just here for any and all horror monster movies, then it's still probably worth your time. I won't dissuade you from checking it out. I don't regret watching it. But casual viewers, do not bother with this film. Okay, I've got a little full spoil commentary I'm going to jump into now. This is only safe if you've already watched the movie. So if you've not watched it yet, or if you've decided you're never going to watch it, okay, you can stick around. But if you think you might watch it someday, this is where you leave. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe. Thanks.
The Spoiler Room.
So you're still here. Great. There are so many plot devices in this film that were just awful, in my opinion. Having the family run into Derek, the adult version of the kid referenced by Blake's father, talking over that ham radio in the early scene to a neighbor. Okay, that's coincidental, but it could happen. Derek never moved away, fine. But then they use him as the stereotypical creepy backwoods dude. Sort of. It was a lame and awkward scene. The generator in Dad's house, the fact that it actually starts up with no outside attention, just there's a delay, and then vroom, up it gets going again, so we have electricity. No, we're given the impression Dad has been missing for years. There's no way that generator just starts up. Fake. The fact that Blake ever believed bringing his family to this place, that he couldn't wait to escape as a child, and that this could be something good for his family? How messed up is that logic? Blake and his dad have that moment early, standing there looking out over the peaceful valley. They both have their rifles, they're going hunting, and Dad makes some comment like, yeah, you always feel like things are gonna be good when you look at this view. That's not the exact words, it's a paraphrase. So they end the movie with mom and daughter doing the same thing. What? After all that trauma, everything they've been through, they just take a peaceful walk and gaze out over the valley? Ridiculous! This is just such a badly written film. Poorly conceived. If you wrote this and you're watching this, okay, I'm impressed you're watching it, but come on, you cannot be proud of this work. The more I worked on this episode, the more frustrated I got with this film. And it wasn't even in the tiniest bit actually scary. I watched this alone in a dark house at night. Slept like a babe. All right, that's what I have for you today. How about you? Did you watch Wolfman? Do you have comments on what I've said? Do you feel very differently about this? Do you just want to say, yeah, Jim, you are so right, man. This movie sucked. Whatever. Put your thoughts down there. I love seeing your comments. I read them. I always respond. And look in the show notes for other ways you can connect with Zach and I. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.